Well, it costs you $25 right off the bat because Holy Mackinac is copywritten, and I accept empties and or recyclables.
Here we are back on Closer Look on this Tuesday, the 7th day of April. Here's what I didn't do last night: go home and build anything or weld anything or plumb anything. But it was nice to see some feedback from parents of teens who watched the show and said, you know what, thanks for doing this.
I hope that people did have a chance to watch it. If you're thinking of, if you're at that stage where your kids in grade 11, grade 12, they're not sure what they want to do, it's an eye-opening thing. And again, I keep coming back to the way the economy is changing, the way jobs are changing so rapidly, right? We don't even really know what it's going to look like in 5 years. You have to ask yourself, where will there be a career in 5 years? Well, we know, and it's what Ian talked about yesterday about how we know these trades are going to be in high demand for years to come, right? Yeah. And it ultimately comes down to a good paycheck. It's a good pay, it's steady work, and it's a great living. It's a great career. So I think it's if we opened a few eyes and got a few clicks on their website, that's something.
And then guys like us still trying to figure out what we want to do when we grow up.
Oh, man.
We just don't want to grow up. That's the problem.
He did say it's never too late, but
it isn't.
Soon enough, we might end up giving him a call.
Well, and how many times do you hear of people having to pivot, in their 30s, 40s, even 50s?
Could you imagine us building decks?
My good
Could you imagine anyone sitting on that deck?
Do not walk on that deck. I'm telling you right now. Unless you're very well
If I ever found you under my sink, that'd be it for me.
No guarantees on this handiwork from this fella, let me tell you.
I know. Speaking of great careers.
Yes, the one and only Joe Bowen. Hard to believe that it's winding down. Also hard to believe the Toronto Maple Leafs not in the playoffs this year. What a disaster.
A total disaster.
That's a whole other show. Not that we're a sports podcast, but you know what? In Toronto and in Canada, it's news when the Maple Leafs don't make the playoffs. They fire their GM. The team is in shambles. But the one bright star through all of this is the guy who has called them for decades, the one and only Joe Bowen.
And we had the pleasure of having him on the podcast back in December. And at that time, he was still holding out hope that the Leafs would be okay.
He was, yeah.
He announced before the season that would be his last. He was retiring. And the hope was that this would be the year they'd get that elusive cup that they've been trying to get the whole time he's been there. And it's not going to happen this year. They're out of the playoffs, which means I was looking at the calendar. He's just days away from his last game. The last home game is next Monday, right? And the last game is
in Ottawa on the 15th.
Yeah. So today's the 7th. He's a week away from hanging it up.
Yeah.
And it was such a great conversation with Joe. He's such a likable guy, a Sudbury kid who's grown up to be the voice of the Maple Leafs. And as we get ready for him to hang up the mic for good, I think it's a great opportunity just to listen to that interview again. If you missed it and you're a Leafs fan, and even if you're not a Leafs fan, if you're a sports fan, and especially you love the fact that broadcasters bring so much to the game, you got to listen to this interview.
For more than 4 decades, one voice has been the soundtrack of Leafs Nation. He's called the heartbreak, the hope, the overtime winners, and the Holy Mackinacs. After all those years behind the mic, the unmistakable voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs is calling it a career. We're thrilled to have the legendary Joe Bowen joining us tonight on Closer Look. Joe, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Well, it costs you $25 right off the bat because Holy Mackinac is copywritten, and I accept empties and or recyclables, but I expect that payment should be forthcoming very quickly.
Scott will send it to you right away, Joe.
Fair enough.
Oh, perfect. Boy, Scott.
Joe, when the season is done, you will have called over 3,800 NHL games that started back in 1982 at the famed Chicago Stadium. That's a pretty impressive stat for a Sudbury guy who started his career doing play-by-play for the Wolves. Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, Joe, imagine seeing happen what has over the last 44 years?
No, honestly, I can't. I was just happy to get one game in, and it honestly didn't look like that was going to happen either. But, I mean, my dream was to play for them like every other red-blooded kid. I was going to replace Johnny Bauer between the pipes, and a distinct lack of athletic ability prevented that from happening. So this was the second best alternative for it, to be sure. But no, I never envisioned that. I mean, I know when I left Halifax, my very good friend Mike Cranston, who I worked with doing morning shows out there and also in Sudbury, he kind of put his arm around me and he said, "You know what? You're going up there. You're going to own that town." And I laughed at him and I thought, yeah, if I last a week, maybe I'll last a week. Well, it's been 44 years come this next season or this next year. And I've appreciated every bit of it and every moment of it.
And Mike Cranston, an absolute gem. My career, Joe, is background in radio in North Bay, the Sioux, and some work in Sudbury too. So I know Mike quite well.
Oh, he literally taught me so much, and one of the things that he taught me was to have fun.
Right.
You can't be afraid of the microphone. You've got to incorporate it and invite people to be in your bar, in your rec room, in wherever you are, to enjoy it. And I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of great people that have the same opinion and the same kind of talent.
You definitely have that gift. You do bring us right into the room when you're doing a game, Joe. Were you that way as a kid playing goalie in the Sudbury growing up, or did you have that voice? Did you have that aspiration to sort of call the game while you're playing net?
Oh, I think everybody does. I mean, when you're a kid and you know what I miss, and I don't know what it's like up in Sault Ste. Marie, but I mean, we were outdoors every night.
Yep.
We were in my backyard shooting against the garage door, and I drive around downtown here or in Markham and whatnot. You never see kids outside.
No.
Of course, the stupid politicians have banned having hockey nets on the street, so you can't have a car. You got the hell out of the way. Well, we can't even do that now. And unless everything is organized for kids now, you don't see them out just having fun. But oh God, when I was out there, yeah, we were all being Foster Hewitt or Danny Gallivan or somebody. Just having fun while we pretended we were on our way fast tracking to the National Hockey League.
It's a great point. We talk about it all the time. I wonder how these elite AAA kids are playing. You don't see them out slapping the puck against their garage. Where I grew up, every kid's garage was a disaster.
Totally.
Now everyone's pristine. I'm sure it was the same for you.
Some refrigerators and some washers and dryers.
Yeah, exactly. Look, it says Sidney Crosby's in the Hall of Fame. Isn't that right? Yeah, exactly. Yep. Joe, I have to get an uncomfortable question out of the way first. Did you ever imagine after all these decades calling these games that you wouldn't have called a Stanley Cup championship for the Leafs?
Oh, I suppose. I never called a Memorial Cup for Sudbury. I worked with Harry. I just lost his name here from Sault Ste. Marie. Harry Wolf. Back in the day when we cooperated with the two cities hosting the Memorial Cup. But I never called a Sudbury Wolves Memorial Cup. I didn't call a Calder Cup final for the Nova Scotia Voyageurs. So, yeah, you hope that you get the ultimate prize. But, I never really sat down and thought, yeah, we'll probably have one or two during the tenure that I'm here. We've had some great runs and come really, really damn close.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened. And, hey, if I was the Boston Red Sox announcer or the Chicago Cubs announcer, it would have been 86 years or 104 years.
There you go.
So you just never know.
Joe, let's talk about your interaction with fans. Always positive for the most part?
Oh, yeah. I think I could probably count on two fingers when some guy, maybe fueled with a little too much Crown Royal, decided to. And it's always kind of neat because they think that I'm going to take immediately to management, coaching, ownership, what needs to be changed in their mind. I'm like a postman.
You're the conduit.
Joe will tell them that this has got to change, and by God, it's got to change now, or I'm never going to watch again. Well, sometimes that happens, but I usually laugh it off and have a good chuckle at it.
Oh, you know what I love about listening to you, Joe, is that the intensity is never not there. You are in that game every period, every play. How do you keep that level of intensity?
Alcohol.
You're stealing our tricks, Joe. That's our line.
Oh, hey, Crown Royal is a wonderful, wonderful tool if you use it in moderation. No, you know what I mean? I get excited. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of everything. I love the Toronto Maple Leafs. I love the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. I am an owner of the Green Bay Packers. I love the Toronto Argonauts. I've been a Boston Red Sox fan since 1967 or so. And I think that I'd probably carry that idea of being a fan to the booth. And I think I react that way on any given night. And both positively and sometimes negatively, right? Because it doesn't always work out the way you want it to. But, having said that, I think that's probably been my quote unquote modus operandi. And it's lasted this long. And I'm glad that I did it with the Frank Sinatra song. I did it my way.
Joe, are you feeling sentimental these days?
About what? Two ex-wives? No, gotten over that. I'm going to be fine, I think.
It's amazing what Crown Royal will do.
Why would you all of a sudden get personal? I thought this was going to be a fun damn interview.
Is that going to cost me another $25?
But I have to say hello to my very dear friend Dennis Bolton up there. I hope he's going to be watching. Played minor hockey with him, and he lives up there. And when my son David was playing Tier 2 hockey, we would get up there and play both in the two Sioux and whatnot, and would run into him. So I had to get that out of the way.
I appreciate it. I think what
I'll save 35 cents on a stamp for Christmas.
There you go. I think what Scott's asking is obviously the fans in Toronto are lamenting that these are your final season. They're thinking back to all the great moments that you had in their memories of you being the soundtrack of their life, the soundtrack of their being a Leafs fan. And I'm just wondering if you feel that same way at all, if it's trickling in a little bit.
No, it's been overwhelming. It really has. I've gotten letters. I've gotten texts, emails. I get stopped on my way to the games or if I'm out shopping. And some of the great notes that I've gotten is literally, and Scotty Lawton and others, Max Domi and John Tavares and kids who have grown up, Stevie also, just... You were in the car with us. We went to hockey. We came, Stevie Lorenz, I'm thinking of. And you were part of us growing up, and you were a big part of why I wanted to play and why I wanted you to call our games maybe sometime or something of that nature. And then you get people that weren't players, that were just fans, but also they were driving kids to hockey, or they were, everything else that you were in their car or in their living room or rec room. And I've been really touched with some of them. One gentleman sent me a really nice letter, and he said that his dad was a huge Leaf fan, and he was terminally ill. And he went up to the hospital to visit his dad on his last night, and they're going to watch the hockey game. And his dad said, "Could you bring a radio?
Wow.
I want to listen to Joe." That kind of takes it right to the quick. And I've had so many of these interactions since the announcement that this would be my last year. And it's really touching, guys. It really is. It breaks your heart sometimes, but it warms your heart. So many times of all of the great stories that everybody has, that you are sort of a part of the family.
Absolutely.
I don't know them by name. Sometimes I've never, ever seen them. But you hear their story and you react that way too.
It's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that, Joe. It's a very powerful story. And it's true. I think of my love for the sports teams that I love. The players come and go, but that voice on the radio or on that TV, it's there forever. You're almost more connected to that. And I'm sure that's what you're feeling right now from the fans.
Yeah, and technology allows me to hang around a little longer. I don't have a copy of my first game. I don't have a cassette of it. I don't know why. I probably did at one point, but 2 marriages and 3 houses later, I don't have it. But I can go on YouTube and I can download all of these calls that we've had over the years that have been put to video or however that are just amazing. And guys, I'm in the process with Scott Morrison, one of my dear friends and a longtime beat writer with the Toronto Sun. We're writing a book.
Great.
And one of the things that we're going to do in it is that it'll be all of the BS stories that I have. But, if we're talking about, the game in Los Angeles in 93, when Doug Gilmour gets cut and Wendell Clark comes off the bench and scores the tying goal. Well, I have that video and audio, but what I'm going to do is put a QR code in the book so that you can listen to that call. And then I can talk about what happened maybe around it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Gilmour got cut. Yeah, we got to talk to the officials after the game, and this is what they said. You won't believe it, but I'm saving it for the book. But anyway, that sort of stuff. So all of those calls that have been made, the Nicky Borishevsky call, the Bless You Boys call, Matt Sundin scoring, having Austin Matthews score 4 goals in his first game, we can incorporate that into the book. So I'm looking forward to that.
We were going to ask you about specifically Nicky Borishevsky's goal and Sundin's 500th. You've had so many over the years. Well, what are some of your favorites, Joe?
Well, my favorite call is Nicky Borishevsky, and for 2 reasons. One, up until that point, we had no chance.
Yeah,
because ownership didn't care enough. Right, cared about some things, didn't care enough about putting the best possible product on the ice. Once that changed and Cliff Fletcher arrived and obviously making the Doug Gilmour trade and everything else, but that was a watershed mark. It was the franchise turned 180 degrees and started, and no, it hasn't worked. No, they haven't won, but it hasn't been for the lack of trying, the lack of money, the lack of anything. In fact, the money situation got so bad that they had to change the rule and put a damn cap in because the Leafs were with the Rangers going out and spending money and trying to put a better product on the ice. So that goal really kind of, if it kind of got to it, the first years from 82 until 92 were sort of like being in the minors, just an extension of the Nova Scotia Voyageurs. But then that goal and that year said, okay, this is the NHL. They are trying to win. Haven't had it happen yet, but it wasn't for the lack of effort.
You mentioned ownership. If we can talk about the Harold Ballard years for a couple of minutes, maybe the culture, the mood, the atmosphere within the organization.
Well, it was interesting, I guess to just say. I mean, he was a cantankerous. He wanted to hog the headlines. It was his damn team, and by God, you needed to know that. You filled his coffers and everything else, but he wanted the headlines instead of sitting at the back, enjoying the ride, and then having them hand the Stanley Cup to him after the players had touched it. So that was what made it difficult, I suppose. But, for a young kid, getting an opportunity to just be in the National Hockey League, you probably cut Mr. Ballard a lot more slack than maybe others who had been there and gone through more years of it since the 67 Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm. Joe, you're writing a book, like you said. Can you share one story with us that you've never told anyone that you're working on, something in the book, something that just a great behind-the-scenes story of your career?
God, I told everybody all of the ridiculous stories that I have. Let's think. Well, I'll tell you this story. And I've been blessed working with so many wonderful people. And Bill Waters is a dear, dear friend of mine. Wilbur was the biggest player agent in the league. And he walked in the door one day when we were auditioning people to do color with me. He says, I can do better than him. And Vicky McKee said, okay, if you think you're that good, going up. We were doing auditions during an exhibition game. So Wilbur comes up, and sure enough, he is good. It's very good. Knowledgeable, got more insight into the National Hockey League than anybody that we were going to have. So we ended up working together for 8 or 9 years almost. Anyway, we're in the old Chicago Stadium, and Wilbur has gone out and he's bought a brand new mohair, long, full length, a beige coat. Had to be $1,000 if it was $1 in those days. And he was so proud of it. He looked like Babe Ruth walking down the street with this thing on. Anyway, at the top, we had to go up 97 stairs to get to the top of the old Chicago Stadium. And right where that stairwell was a men's washroom where about 2 minutes into the game, more was flowing out of it than what was going into it, if you get my drift. And across from the washroom, there was a concession stand. And they sold beer and popcorn and hot dogs or whatever up there. But literally in that building, there was no elevators or escalators. It had to be lugged up the stairs. So we finished the game and we're walking down, and Mr. Waters has a bit of a myopic condition, not being able to see as well as he should. And some poor kid had lugged up a mason jar of relish. There were 97 stairs to make it to the top. He made it to the 96th stair. And this thing of relish is smashed to smithereens, plus what was flowing out of the men's washroom. And Wilbur hits the top of the step and down he goes. 15 stairs to the next landing. And I thought he was dead. I mean, any other human being, that would have been a major catastrophe, everything. But all I hear, oh, Jesus, curse and swearing. And he gets up. And he's not cut. I don't know how the coat saved his life. But it was ripped to hell. And all there was relish in his hair. His coat was torn to shreds, and he was just beside himself. So that was my Chicago Stadium, one of my many Chicago Stadium stories.
Joe, you and Scott are going to write a great book. I can feel it already. There's going to be a lot of great stories in there.
All right. I'm almost afraid to ask this because it's going to cost me another $25. The phrase "Holy Mackinac," where did it come from?
Oh, if you use it twice, it's $55. Guys, it came from my dad. My dad passed away when I was 14. And I cherish his memory. And it's one of the things that I've done with my 4 boys, because he was so involved with what I was doing in sports and everything else. And he made time out of a busy career of being a general surgeon in Sudbury. He delivered 3,000 Sudburyans and made only 2 mistakes. Paul Rimstead and Eddie Shack. And so I would sit with my dad watching Johnny Bauer and the Leafs play. And my dad was a goaltender of note, played with the University of Western Mustangs at medical school. And when Johnny would make a save, my dad would blurt it out. Holy Mackinac, what a great save by Johnny. Now, if I wasn't there, maybe he used a different term to shield the ears of a young boy growing up. That's what he said. And I never thought about it. I never used it in junior hockey. I never used it in American Hockey League. And it was 5 years again at the Chicago Stadium. And Felix Potvin made an unbelievable save. And out it blurted. And I would never have used it again, except I looked over at my buddy Wilbur Waters, and Bill was laughing so hard he'd fallen off his chair. I thought, well, if I got that rise out of him, I'll use it again. And we have, and we've done some good with it. We've sold T-shirts. In fact, the Leafs with this ceremony on on Tuesday, they're selling Holy Mackinac T-shirts with the Real Sports apparel. The players have been wearing them, and if you buy one, a lot of the proceeds are going to hospital for sick kids.
That's wonderful. A great thing. That's a great thing. Are you thinking a lot about Tuesday night? Are you wondering how it's going to go? If you're going to make it through?
I have to. I got more people asking for damn tickets than I can possibly scrounge.
Well, that was our next question, Joe.
Yeah. No, you can't come. Get off your wallets and find one. Yeah, the closer it gets, the more it is. I sometimes have to pinch myself and say, you have to go to work 2 days after this. There's another damn game. So it's kind of the timing of it is interesting. Keith Kelly and company decided that this would be a good time to do it. And I'm enjoying it. It will have the Blackhawks there. Which will be kind of ironic. And one part of the reason for it was that this is their only trip. And Nick Foligno will be a part of it. And I've been a part of the Foligno family since I started in Sudbury when Michael was playing for the Wolves. So they're near and dear to my heart, as are other Northern Ontario folk from my hometown. So that will be very special. So yeah, I am, to answer your question quickly. And the more I get involved in what I have to make sure everybody gets to where they have to go and everything else, it's been a busy time. And I'll wake up in the middle of the night thinking, what in the hell are you going to say after this is done on the ice? And I'm hoping that I don't end up being a bawling mess, but I think we have a few things and lots of people to thank, that's for sure.
You can just press play on this episode, Joe, and just let that do the talking. That'll be perfect.
Oh, yeah, right.
Go ahead.
Just a couple more questions, Joe. We know you're busy.
No. Yeah.
I'm
almost finished my
we can press.
Can you see? I've got my Notre Dame Fighting Irish mug.
I was admiring that.
Yeah, well, I'm a little pissed at what went on this weekend.
Yes, wasn't
Let
pretty.
me just say that.
Yeah, wasn't pretty.
Joe, what are you going to miss the most, and what does retirement look like? Maybe more Red Sox games, a little more time in South Bend?
Yeah, lots of that. I want to travel. I've got a great trip lined up that I'm going to take a Band of Brothers trip, which is a Second World War tour from London, England, through the beaches at Normandy and all of that, all the way to Berchtesgaden and Berlin. I'm looking forward to that. I'll miss the interaction I've had with people like Jim Ralph, who used to get booed when he went home to Sault Ste. Marie. He's still sour about that, guys. Really? Still sour. Oh. He doesn't think that he should have been booed as a member of the Ottawa 67s, but he's getting over it. I'm trying to soothe it as much as I can. But he loves Sault Ste. Marie, obviously. So I'll miss that interaction, but I want to do a lot more with the alumni and be involved with them, going out to their events and maybe adding some levity at a microphone at their expense. But, I've probably called. So one of the things I got to research is how many players in a Leaf uniform, how many players' names have I called? And I'm going to do that. That's my project tonight after my second Crown Royal and Dad. To tabulate how many guys have gone through the jute mill over 44 years, how many names I've actually called, which would be kind of interesting. But they're so very active here and doing some great work. That I was gifted with the Foster Hewitt Award, which means that I'm part of the Hockey Hall of Fame. And it was a tremendous honor. I can't tell you how excited and honored I was. But the biggest honor that I have is that I'm an honorary member of the Toronto Maple Leaf alumni. Those guys voted on me being a part of their group. And for a young boy who grew up dreaming of being Johnny Bauer's replacement, this is as damn close as I'm ever going to get. And I can't thank them enough. And that's the proudest thing that I have going forward to this night. I'm looking forward to seeing as many of them as I can.
Very cool and very well deserved. Okay, Joe, before we let you go, our executive producer who's in the room, Derek Turner, is probably the biggest Leaf fan that we know and a pretty big Joe Bowen fan as well. If Derek played on a line with Austin Matthews and Max Domi and scored a game winner,
you would quit. You would.
What would the call sound like?
Derek Turner?
Derek Turner.
All right. Austin Matthews brings the puck over the line. Derek Turner goes to the front of the net. Shot right off of the bugle. That nose looks like it's smashed, but it went into the net. Holy Mackinac, Turner scores a goal. And never play again.
Oh, man. Joe, that was the greatest thing we've ever had on our podcast.
Sorry, Derek. I apologize.
No.
But I don't imagine you can play the goddamn game very well anyway, so that's probably as close as you're going to get to score.
That's right. Like that's why he's stuck sitting here with us, Joe. That was fantastic. Perfect. What a pleasure. You're a treasure, Joe. You know, you will be missed by so many. We really appreciate this time tonight.
And the only thing that would have made this better is if we had a crown and we could have had a drink together.
You never know. You never know. We'll probably be able to do that another time.
We wish Mr. Bowen nothing but the best. And it's interesting because a lot of prominent sportscasters just in the last week, either retiring or announcing their retirement. So you've got Joe, who you mentioned next Saturday has his last game. Scott Oak from Hockey Night in Canada, who does after hours.
Yep.
Primarily West Coast games.
Yes.
But he's been in broadcasting for 52 years.
That's crazy.
And then the legendary curling, count them up, make the final. 53 years for Vic Rauter at TSN.
Vic Rauter, the pride of Aurelia.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. You know, for how old I am, if you watch curling, it's always been Vic Rauter, right?
Yeah.
And he just calls that game beautiful. It's a hard game to broadcast. I would think it's a hard game to broadcast, right?
Yeah.
But he does an amazing job. And, you know, when you listen to these guys, you feel like they could go on forever because it looks easy. You sit in the chair and you're calling a game, but there's a grind to that too, right? There's a lot of preparation that goes with it. And it's like anything else. You realize it's time to hang up the mic. So wishing those guys all the best. But I just want to thank Joe again for taking the time to talk to us.
Absolutely.
Again, because he's not just a Leafs broadcaster. He's the pride of Northern Ontario. And he's just a great guy all around.
Yep, a solid human. Good luck, Joe, in the next chapter. Closer look at villagemedia.ca. That's our email address. Reach out anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Zach Trunzo at the helm tonight. As always, for Michael Friscalenti, our editor-in-chief, I'm Scott Sexsmith. Thanks for your time. We'll see you tomorrow night, right here, 7 o'clock on Closer Look.
Briscoe & Scott's wardrobe provided in part by Moore's Clothing for Men.